Hello, welcome to Imperial Truth, your source for honest and clear reporting. Here is the news for March 13, 2025.
Greenland's opposition party, IA, has secured a significant victory in the recent parliamentary elections, signaling a shift in the island's political landscape. IA, which campaigned on a platform emphasizing environmental protection and sustainable development, won 37% of the vote, translating to 12 of the 31 seats in Greenland's parliament. This outcome reflects growing public concern over climate change, mining projects, and the Trump administration's growing interest for Greenland. The incumbent party, which had dominated Greenlandic politics since 1979, suffered a notable defeat, obtaining only 29% of the vote and losing several seats. The IA leader Ecuador, aged 34, is poised to become Greenland's youngest prime minister. Ecuador has pledged to fight against climate change and against incursions into Greenland's sovereignty by the Trump administration.
The head of the Environmental Protection Agency, Andrew Wheeler, has announced plans to roll back over 30 environmental regulations implemented during previous administrations. These changes target policies related to air and water pollution, as well as greenhouse gas emissions, aiming to reduce regulatory burdens on industries. Critics argue that this deregulatory agenda could undermine efforts to combat climate change and protect public health. One significant rollback includes the weakening of the Clean Power Plan, which set limits on carbon emissions from power plants. Additionally, the EPA intends to revise fuel efficiency standards for vehicles, potentially leading to increased air pollution. Environmental groups have vowed to challenge these rollbacks in court, emphasizing the importance of maintaining stringent environmental protections to ensure a sustainable future.
President Donald Trump has issued a pardon to former Tennessee State Senator Brian Kelsey, who was serving a 21-month prison sentence for campaign finance violations. Kelsey was convicted of illegally funneling $91,000 from his state campaign committee to his federal congressional campaign in 2016. The Justice Department had labeled this as a scheme to defraud the Federal Election Commission. The pardon has sparked controversy, with critics arguing that it undermines accountability for political corruption. Supporters of Kelsey, however, claim that the punishment was excessive for a first-time offender. This pardon adds to a series of clemency actions by President Trump for political allies and figures convicted of white-collar crimes.
Senate Democrats find themselves in a challenging position concerning the proposed spending bill voted by Republicans in the House. The Republican-drafted bill includes significant budget cuts to social programs, which Democrats oppose, but rejecting it could lead to a shutdown. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has called for bipartisan negotiations to reach a more balanced agreement. The impasse has heightened tensions on Capitol Hill, with both parties accusing each other of jeopardizing government operations. Public opinion polls indicate that a majority of Americans prefer a compromise to avoid a shutdown. The coming days will be crucial as lawmakers work to reconcile their differences and ensure continued funding for federal agencies.
During a Tesla demonstration on the White House lawn, President Trump was observed reading from Tesla's sales materials while showcasing the vehicles and declaring that he would buy a vehicle himself. The event aimed to highlight Musk and Tesla vehicles as an attempt to promote Tesla stock as it continues to stumble in the markets. Critics argue that the president's endorsement of a specific company raises ethical concerns regarding favoritism and potential conflicts of interest. The event has sparked discussions about the role of government in promoting private enterprises and the implications for market competition.
The United States is currently engaged in negotiations with India over tariffs that have impacted the pricing of generic drugs. India, known as the pharmacy of the world, supplies a significant portion of generic medications to the U.S. market. Recent tariffs imposed by India have led to increased costs for American consumers, prompting concerns about access to affordable healthcare. The U.S. Trade Representative is working to resolve these trade disputes to ensure the steady flow of essential medications. Health advocacy groups emphasize the importance of affordable drug prices, particularly for low-income and vulnerable populations. The outcome of these negotiations will have significant implications for both international trade relations and public health in the United States.
The U.S. Department of Education has announced plans to reduce its workforce by approximately 50%, equating to around 2,200 positions. This decision is part of a broader initiative to streamline operations and reduce federal spending. The layoffs are expected to affect various departments, including those responsible for student aid and educational research. Critics argue that such significant cuts could hinder the department's ability to oversee federal education programs effectively. Teachers' unions and education advocates warn that this move may negatively impact students who rely on federal aid and resources. Meanwhile, the administration defends the decision, stating it will lead to a more efficient and less bureaucratic education system.
In March 2025, President Donald Trump issued an executive order targeting the law firm Perkin Coie, known for its associations with Democratic entities. The order barred federal agencies from utilizing Perkin Coie's services, suspended the security clearances of its attorneys, prohibited their access to federal buildings, and initiated reviews aimed at terminating government contracts with the firm's clients. Legal experts expressed concern that this executive action could infringe upon First Amendment rights by penalizing the firm for its client representation, potentially constituting viewpoint discrimination. Additionally, Fifth Amendment due process issues were raised, as the firm was neither notified nor given an opportunity to respond before the order's implementation. A federal judge issued a block on key provisions of the order.
Ecuador has launched an aggressive new crime-fighting initiative by partnering with private security firms to combat rising violence. President Daniel Noboa's administration granted private security groups expanded authority, including the ability to detain suspects and patrol high-crime areas. This decision follows a surge in violent crime, with Ecuador's homicide rate reaching 46 per 100,000 people in 2024. Human rights organizations have raised concerns over the potential for abuses, citing a lack of government oversight. Supporters of the initiative argue that Ecuador's police force is overstretched and needs additional help to restore order. The government has assured the public that the security firms will operate under strict guidelines to prevent misconduct.
Former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro has been formally charged with conspiring to overturn the results of the 2022 presidential election. Prosecutors allege that Bolsonaro and his allies attempted to pressure military officials into nullifying the election results, which saw Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva return to office. If convicted, Bolsonaro could face up to 20 years in prison under Brazil's national security laws. The charges have intensified political divisions in Brazil, with Bolsonaro supporters denouncing the case as politically motivated. Lula's administration has vowed to uphold the rule of law, emphasizing the importance of accountability for threats to democracy. Legal analysts suggest the trial could have long-term consequences for Brazil's political landscape, setting a precedent for future electoral disputes.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. You can also follow us on our other socials, links in the description box below. Thank you again.